Statesman. It's Addie Broyles, the Austin American-Statesman, with a special guest.
I'm Katey Psencik.
And we are making watermelon kegs. You guys have maybe done this before. You have for sure seen them. All I know is that when this landed on my desk, I got like 4 emails that were like, are you going to use it? Are you going to use it? It's like, all right, let's do it. We are standing outside the Statesman. It is very sweaty, but it's almost July 4th weekend. And we're going to cool off.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went ahead and pre-prepped one of these, but we're going to show you how we got to this point, and I'll show you some of the tools. Okay, well, why don't you go show off those tools, and I'll kind of show off what we're
So
going.
here's the actual quote-unquote tap. It looks just like a keg tapper. I guess this is the part that goes actually into the watermelon, and then we connect it to this guy, and we can get our drink out of there, hopefully.
So the key is, I've made these things several times, and different kits, I will tell you, do not buy a kit that has the screw-in legs in the bottom, because it absolutely leaks. Like, you poke a hole, it goes too far in, and you get watermelon everywhere. This particular kit calls for slicing off just like 1/3 of an inch on the bottom, just to make it steady, which I thought was really cool, because when you do that, I mean, this is a teeny tiny little bit. You can see a little bit of the pink flesh, but not much, but it'll stay like that. So that's pretty cool. They also suggest serving it in a bowl, not a bowl this size, but a little bit smaller, just like a breakfast bowl that you put cereal in, and that elevates it a little bit too. But
or you can just catch all the mush if anything falls out.
Well, the mush, hopefully, yes, if it leaks out of the bottom.
Hopefully it won't happen.
All right, so after I do that, then I'm going to cut off a little bit more off the top. You know, you could do like the pumpkin style whenever you're carving pumpkins, but I'm going to slice off the top like a little hat.
That seems easier, I think.
And this one, they said 1/2 inch, so you can do a little bit bigger on this one. Just this morning on Twitter, I saw the coolest idea from Alton Brown. At this point, this is amazing. He just takes an immersion blender, and I think he maybe cuts out just like a little bit on top here. He takes an immersion blender and just sticks it directly on here.
We're not quite that fancy.
No, but I would totally recommend you doing that, because this is a messy step. This is why we pre-prepped it. But I am gonna give this tool came with this kit, which you can just Google.
So it's like it's a spoon with a little coring situation there at the bottom.
And so I'm gonna let Katey start scooping this like ice cream into that bowl.
Cool.
One trick too, you know, you can like slice into it this way and kind of get it pre-chunked a little bit. That's one way to kind of speed up that whole process of scooping out the middle. Let me show you what it looks like. I mean, this is very similar to when you're doing pumpkins, you're scraping out the seeds.
Yeah, it feels like I'm carving a pumpkin right now.
So I have enough juice in here to pour it
Yum.
out. You'll notice that, I mean, watermelons are so juicy. Look at that.
This looks
delicious,
so good.
huh?
I'm just gonna eat this
So
whole
we
thing.
reserved this, the insides of the watermelon. It's upstairs in our little test kitchen here. Because at this point, what you would do, if you wanted to have watermelon juice, you would take this, right? And you would strain it. I like to take like a wire mesh strainer, and you take your container like this, your pitcher that you're gonna serve it in, put the wire mesh strainer on top, and just put the watermelon there and just like squish it with a spoon. And I don't know if you've ever, I mean, please, if you've not had fresh watermelon juice, not watermelon, but just the juice, it is so hydrating and amazing.
Yeah, and there's so much in here.
So I would totally recommend doing that. It just takes a little bit longer. So this is pink lemonade from a can.
In theory, you would do this with alcohol, but y'all, it's the middle of the day on a Thursday,
So before we, I want to just have a quick little side note with Katey here about when we first started talking about this. The first thing I thought of was Evermelons.
Yeah. Who among us has not?
Or
those of us from like small town Texas.
Or I'm from the Midwest and we used to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know about you. So here's how we would do it: is we would actually we'd split a melon in half this way, and take the booze and pour it on top of the uncut, unscooped watermelon.
And then you just scoop it out and eat it. Yeah.
Yes. And then the other, we did have one of my friends. Hi, Scotch Nelly. He would put a little hole in the watermelon, just a tiny little, like a cork-sized hole, and then pour it into that. So he actually didn't even cut into it, and at that point, it would sit for like a day.
So that's like the OG.
The OG version of this, yeah. But at that point, I mean, you guys gotta understand, unless you take out the stuff, it's not gonna, you might be able to get straight up booze vodka coming out of this, but it's gonna get clogged, you're gonna have a big headache. If you want to make a boozy filling for this, take it out, strain it, make your boozy filling. To this, you would add vodka, gin,
Everclear,
rum,
you know,
tequila,
if you want
whatever,
to bring it back
and
to
then
high
add it
school
in here. I mean, not to say that those of you making Evermelons this weekend are not going to have a good time. At that point, you're chewing on like boozy,
which is, you know, frankly, just as enjoyable. A lot of times we would, if we were like we would get lazy and buy like the pre-cut watermelon from HEB and then just pour booze in there, soak it in the fridge.
So if you wanted a lighter version of that, you could use white wine. That would be kind of like
ooh, that sounds good.
Definitely remember a bottle of Prosecco in your shopping cart this week, because you are going to be happy if you have some bubbly in your refrigerator.
Prosecco would be so good
at some point this weekend. So suck up. You know, liquor stores will be closed on Sunday. I'm not sure if they're closed on Tuesday, but I would make sure you've got your situation figured out just in case.
And because like HEB and everywhere is going to sell out of stuff pretty quickly, I would imagine.
Yes, I was able to buy 2 ginormous bags of charcoal today for $8.
What?
At HEB. Okay, so I am going to take your little device for a second, and we're going to core out the side. Now, they say 2 to 3 inches above. You know, let's see. What you're trying to do is find the very bottom of where you scooped out. They definitely recommend don't scoop all the way to the bottom because you're going to leak. So the 2 inches from the bottom is pretty good. So I'm going to try that right about here, and I'm actually going to turn it on its side. Watermelons are pretty sturdy, but
do you want me to need 2 hands? Oh no, that worked really easily.
So this is a handy tool. Some of the other watermelon keg kits I've had do not have a tool like this, and it's pretty hard to get the right size.
So we've got a perfect little keg tap size.
And this will give you a good, if you've ever wondered how thick a watermelon, I mean, you can see how thick a watermelon rind is when you slice it, but you know, you don't have a whole lot there, so you don't want to scrape it all the way to where it's white, or else you're gonna, you know, be leaking and get stuff everywhere. Okay, so at this point, I think we just stick this in here, and then we're gonna screw that in on the inside. And this is pretty good to help keep it from leaking. Leaking is just your biggest, it's gonna be the hardest thing to avoid.
It looks like it seals in there pretty tight, though.
I think I cut it maybe a little bit too much of an angle, but we'll see. Yeah, unfortunately, you kind of only get one shot.
Yeah.
At using the core, but
yeah, I'm glad we cut that one because the rind on this one is so thick.
It's so thick. Okay, so I'm squeezing that in there pretty tight. All right, here we go. So now we're gonna do this.
Now we screw the actual tap in.
So you'll know we are not putting the drink in until the very end.
Yeah, that seems like a bad idea.
There we go.
This is so fancy looking.
I know.
Look at how high class we are.
I know. I'm sticky as I'll get out though too. So
yeah.
Oh no!
When I walked into the kitchen earlier, I was like, Addie smells like watermelon.
Okay, you guys can see my fallacy here. It's a little bit droopy. You see it?
Oh yeah. I mean,
so imagine if this was your flat countertop. You know, you're still gonna put your little glass right there, so it'll be all right.
We'll be good.
All right, to demo this, gosh, I think I'm gonna put it right here.
Yeah, let's
do you wanna move the camera? Oh, you can actually
see us. Okay.
Okay. All right, guys.
Whew. We've got cute little, obviously little mason jars.
Oh yeah.
The only way to serve juice out of a watermelon.
All right, let's see if we get a whole bunch of leakage here.
I'm kind of nervous.
I know. But you know, I made one of these for July 4th last year, and it leaked all over the counter, and nobody cared. Everybody was so happy.
It's still a fun thing, even if it's not exactly clean.
One other tip about watermelons, they take up a ton of room in the refrigerator, but they stay really cool if you actually store them in a cooler with water on top. So basically, water generally is cooler than air, or it is cooler than the air right now, and so the water is a kind of a easy way to refrigerate watermelons. So especially if you're on the go, put a watermelon in a cooler rather than just leave it out in the sun all day, because it will get kind of warm inside there. And
that's a really good note for parties too, and then you don't have to worry about stocking your fridge.
Yeah, and you don't even have to ice it, but I'm telling you, if you did ice it and just let the ice melt around it, you were gonna have cold, delicious
really
watermelon. All right, let's see how this goes.
Oh my gosh!
Can you guys see it?
Let's see.
Here, we'll turn this just a little bit so you guys can see. All right, Katie, you get yourself a glass.
Oh my gosh!
All right, so this would be perfect for #Awesome360drinks. Please, this weekend, hashtag what you're drinking, out and about at restaurants, what you're making at home. We're going to do a big package next week of reader-submitted photos for Awesome360 drinks. So use that hashtag on Instagram, even if it's pink lemonade.
Oh, tastes good. Tastes great. I think you can even put some of your watermelon mush back in there.
That's true.
That would be good.
Strain it, your tits. Strain it so that it doesn't get clogged. Don't slice too much off the bottom.
Don't do it crooked.
You know, what can I say?
But it still works.
Yeah. And also, oftentimes you might end up making more. You can just fill this up a little bit, store this in the refrigerator, and then refresh it as needed.
Yeah.
You could also put ice in there And that would be a really good way to keep it cool. The ice won't clog the little container. So, okay, so now I'm going to wash up my sticky hands.
Okay.
And we're going to share this with the newsroom. Sorry we couldn't see your questions. If you guys had some questions, we'll address them.
Yeah, I'll go back in the comments and answer them.
Take care and have an awesome 4th of July weekend. Please be careful, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.